The area would be still called Palestine.
No, listen, man. Palestine is a name that does not go back 3,000 years, my friend. Okay?
It goes back
so study, and I can send you to a couple places. Study the history of that particular landmass and how the names have been changed and moved around and so on and so forth. And the people have come and gone and come and gone, including Jews, including people who are Palestinians. Jews never left, even at the peak of the Ottoman Empire, whatever empire, Jews were always there.
To have a professor in an American university today who thinks straight is very impressive. And just watch this professor dealing with a student who is not only ignorant of basic history, I think is completely uninterested in knowing basic history. And this is what has become prevalent. And we have these unbelievable protests and movements built on blatant lies that you can ask any historian in the world about, and they will all tell you that Palestine did not exist 200 years ago. It was just invented. The Jews were there always for 2,000 years. This is basic fact. Watch this.
Palestine has existed for over 3,000 years ago, and I believe it will still exist until the Day of Judgment.
To what?
To exist until the Day of Judgment.
With the area right there?
The area would be still called Palestine.
No, listen, man. Palestine is a name that does not go back 3,000 years, my friend. Okay? So here's what I would say to you. This is what I would say to you. Study, and I can send you to a couple places. Study the history of that particular landmass and how the names have been changed and moved around and so on and so forth. And the people have come and gone and come and gone, including Jews, including people who are Palestinians. Jews never left, even at the peak of the Ottoman Empire, whatever empire, Jews were always there. So it's like, it's been there forever. Like a story like that human beings tell is a misinformed story, because it's like you don't understand the history. The history is it's a beautiful, fascinating sociological history.
Do you believe in a two-state solution similar to that of the original, 1940 borders, or at least something like the Oslo Accords? Or do you think a one-state solution would bring more peace long-term?
You see, this is the Mediterranean. Here's Egypt. This is what I mean. You're gonna go through here. So if you say like, oh, there's been conflict in this region forever, people say this. I'm gonna respond to your question. But there's been conflict in this region forever. They've been fighting forever. This is Europe in the year 1000. Europeans have been fighting forever. That looks nothing like Europe today. The map of Europe has been changing constantly. The map of this area of Israel has been changing constantly. So when we say like, oh, there's conflict, people have been fighting forever, that's just justification to not really understand the nature of sociology. So this is Gaza right here, okay? And this is what's called the West Bank. And Jerusalem is right there. And Jerusalem was identified as the international community. So it was not going to be aligned with Palestinians. It was not going to be aligned with Israel. That has changed over time. And I'm not going to get into some of the details of the more recent politics, but this is the West Bank here. This region is completely closed off. Israel controlled this region here, and Israel controlled this region, which was primarily set aside for Palestinians. But Israel left the Gaza in the early 2000s and gave it over to the Palestinians. Hamas took over, and this is completely cut off. So the two-state solution would be this right here. So we have the West Bank, and we have Gaza, and then we have Israel proper, in which 25% of the people living in here are Arabs, okay? Arab Christians and Arab Muslims, but citizens of Israel. And one can make an argument for second-class status for many of them, and there are. I travel with my Arab friends in Israel, and I saw that second class, but certain aspects were like, this isn't really fair, right? But nonetheless, so the idea is, well, could this work out? So Palestinians stay here, and the Israelis control this, Israel controls this, and then we work it out. You have these two states, and that's good. Or do we need to break down all these borders and bring Jews and Arabs together as one single nation living in peace? My response is, either one can lead to peace. It doesn't matter. What matters is the people who are making the decisions believe that that is the best option to move forward. Right? And what's exceptionally important, and that you all know this, so you think about this, a very small group of people can radically change the course of history and can radically change the course of peace. You know, when you go through airport security and you take your shoes off, that was because of one single human being who put a bomb in his shoes and then changed travel for billions of travelers because of that. One single human being. It doesn't take a lot to throw things off. And so my thing is, it's interesting how many people I hear talk about Palestinians in Gaza, what Palestinians in Gaza think, who never talked to or met a Palestinian in Gaza, or what Jews in Israel think, what Jews in the settlements in the West Bank think. And I have friends and colleagues who live in some of those communities and are amazing human beings who are working alongside with and have immensely positive relationships with their Arab neighbors, are embraced by their Arab neighbors, and in turn embrace back. So if you say, oh, I support the Palestinians and these settlers all have to go, my guess would be you've probably never been there. I mean, you've probably never had conversations with people. You've probably not understood or seen the complexity of the relationships between people.
And this is what's scary about our day and age, because in our day and age, people espouse lies, blatant lies, not shady lies, not 50% untrue, but 100% blatantly untrue that any history book will demonstrate is a lie, and they just continue repeating it, and they have masses following them, and we even have support from from university professors, universities themselves, like supporting all of this. That's not liberalism. Liberalism is not accepting lies. That's not what it is. It's also not shutting down people who think differently than you because they think differently than you. That is the antithesis of everything that they claim to stand for.